Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good evening. If you're joining us live, then today for you is Wednesday, October the 15th, and we have this webinar from about 6 to 7 p.m. Just to make sure you're in the right place, this is a CalSOAP webinar. CalSOAP is the California Student Opportunity and Access Program, and we work in outreach. Everything that we do is free, and everything that we do is to try to make people aware of the college admissions process and the financial aid and the application process. So because it is October and university applications are typically due at the end of next month, today's session or topic is going to be about specifically the UC and the CSU, our two public university systems we have in California, and a little bit about their admissions and their application process. So we have several guests with us. We have Matthew Hebert, who is here from San Diego State University as a director of admissions there. And then from UC San Diego, we have Karina Ramirez and Cassie Cole. Just so you know, this is being recorded, and then I will be posting it by the end of this week on the CalSOAP website. I can also send people an email. You probably got the email reminders from me about this webinar, so I can send you a link to the recording, or you can find it directly on our website under the blog and webinar section. And I will, without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and let CSU kind of introduce themselves and launch into their program. If you do have a question, please put it in the Q&A, and we'll be monitoring it and doing our best to answer your questions throughout. So, all right, Matt, go right ahead. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Carla. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here with you today, representing San Diego State University, my campus, but also the CSU system itself. You'll see that we have 22 different universities within the Cal State system. Some of us are called state universities, so San Francisco State, San Diego State, but others are called, say, CSU Dominguez Hill, CSU East Bay. So you'll encounter a bunch of different terminology for our campuses, but we all take the same application. We're all part of the Cal State system in the state of California. So thank you for joining us here. You can see by this map, we are located everywhere in the state of California, from San Diego down here in the south, all the way up to Humboldt, up north, and everywhere in between. A lot of different campuses with a lot of different programs that we have to offer at each different school. Every school is very different, of course, where we're located, but also the population and how many students we have. At San Diego State, we just ran our numbers for fall, and we have 40,000 students at San Diego State, about 35,000 undergraduate and about 5,000 in different graduate level programs with teaching credentials, master's and PhD programs. And we have some campuses within the Cal State system that are pretty small, just about 5,000 to 4,000 students. So no matter what type of university you're looking for, we have something to offer you in all different locations in California. And what are we known for in our system itself? Well, most of our Cal State universities have teaching programs, business programs, and administrative type of programs, but we also specialize in a wide range of different things, especially hands-on learning. We have Cal Poly universities, which are really, by definition, hands-on and polytechnical, with biotechnology, with different programs in agriculture, water management, a lot of STEM-focused programs. And we give our students the ability to do research very early in their career. So if you are at all interested in doing any type of research with our faculty and professors, we are the place for you. A lot of startup opportunities. For instance, at San Diego State, we have a huge entrepreneurship hub trying to get students to start their own companies. The CSU Startup Launch is a very successful program across the entirety of our system itself for future business leaders and inventors. So there's a lot of exciting things going on in the Cal State University system. This is just a sampling of some of the programs that you can pursue at different universities. Not every Cal State University has all of these programs, but these programs are located somewhere within the California State University system. So animation, architecture programs, a lot of film programs, certainly education and engineering, but also things like global intelligence, international security, kinesiology for sports medicine, hotel restaurant management, nursing, etc. Just so many programs that we have to offer. We have a maritime academy as well. If you're not familiar, if you're at all interested in doing maritime sciences, maritime business, we have Cal Poly Maritime Academy. It's actually part of the Cal Poly school system now, which includes Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and the Maritime campus. It's located up in Vallejo, but it's the only Western hub for maritime sciences in the whole United States. I think on the East Coast they maybe have five of these different universities, but on the West Coast we have the only one here. As you go through your college search, whether you're a senior, whether you're a junior, or even younger years, it's important to note that there are some campuses within our system that carry this name or this title impaction, which really means that we have set minimums that are set by the state as far as what entrance requirements are, but we have some selective universities within the Cal State system that are going to be more competitive than others. And the more competitive campuses we label as impacted. San Diego State University is one of those. Some of the other universities are San Jose State, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly Pomona, Long Beach, and Fullerton. We have six of the campuses within the 22 CSU campus programs, or campuses, I should say, universities that are more competitive than others. There are also 17 other campuses that we have within the system itself, I'm including here Maritime because it is a newly as a branch of Cal Poly, but we have all of these other campuses too within the state of California that are not considered impacted, which means that as far as the GPA and what you need on your admissions application, you may find that it's actually going to be easier to get into some of these campuses than it is to the campuses that are on this screen here, San Diego State included. Just a quick shout out for my home campus. Since this presentation, I will talk in a little bit about San Diego State University stuff in just a little bit, but I have my CSU hat on to talk about the whole system right now. Just a shout out for us at San Diego State. We have a lot of students who apply to us from our local admissions area, which is inclusive of San Diego Unified High School District, Grossmont Union High School District, Sweetwater Union High School District, all of the Imperial Valley high schools, and then every private and charter school that's between the Mexico border up to State Route 56 in San Diego County. All of our local area students do get special consideration as a local area student attending a high school close to San Diego State University. So I want to make that clear too to all of our participants today, since I know a lot of you are from San Diego itself. We do have some campuses within our system, within the Cal State University system, that will accept students who graduate from high school, say maybe last year or the year before, start taking community college classes, but aren't specifically considered an upper division transfer student, meaning they haven't really done 2 full years of full-time coursework at community colleges. So some of our campuses will admit students who have just a year of high school and perhaps a year of community college. San Diego State is not part of those. None of the impacted campuses are. But if you are right now a community college student and have already graduated from high school, some of these campuses may accept your application for admission. Okay, so what is required for entrance into the California State University system? Well, for bare bones minimum to be eligible for admission to any of our 22 campuses, students, you must eventually graduate from high school, of course, but we must see that you've completed what we call the A through G college preparation course structure. This is from ninth grade through 12th grade, although sometimes it can start a little bit early in, say, seventh or eighth grade if you've started with a foreign language or even algebra that early. And then we look at all of those courses that you've taken that would fill into these subjects on the right-hand side of the screen and look at a GPA consistent of all of these different courses here, really starting from the 10th grade. When we start to review your admissions application, I know most of you on this call are seniors in high school. So it's really a historic record that we're looking at. We're looking to see what you've already done in your high school career for your GPA and for your courses. Ninth grade, even seventh or eighth grade, as I mentioned, for math or foreign language, those count to make sure that you're meeting subject requirements. When we zone in on the GPA for you, we really want to zone in on the 10th and 11th grade GPA. And in order to be minimally eligible for admission to any of our 22 universities, you must have at least a 2.5 GPA. For some of our campuses, if you have between a 2.0 and a 2.49, they may use some other factors to admit you. But overall, the 2.5 GPA is needed to be meeting that baseline requirement for eligibility. I am going to warn you, though, you are going to see for some of our impacted campuses, such as San Diego State, it is much higher than that for the GPA that we require. But for minimum sakes, to be minimally eligible into the system itself, and especially to be eligible for those non-impacted CSU campuses, a 2.5 is required. What else do we look at? So on this previous slide, all I have on here, first, we're a test-free admissions, which means SATs or ACTs are not required. If you have them, great, you can list them on the application, but we don't require them, nor do we review them. Whether you have them or not, it's not a benefit nor a detriment to your admissions application. But completing this pattern of college preparation courses and then having a GPA. Well, what else do we look at? Our impacted campuses, such as San Diego State, will look at these other features here for you. On the left-hand side, a GPA in all of your A through G courses, okay, so the entirety of your academic schedule, but also a GPA in courses taken in subjects relevant to what major you want to pursue, especially for any of our students who are chemistry, environmental science, engineering, any of our math, any of our STEM related programs. We want to see that you've been successful in math and science in the STEM related fields. So we're going to do more of a deep dive on your application and look specifically at the rigor of your courses. How have you done in math and science? What level are those courses? Are they honors or AP or advanced level courses? Are they pre-calculus or have you ended at Algebra 2? In order to be really a prime candidate to give yourself the best possible situation, we want to see that you're challenging yourself as well in high school. We also will look at just the number of academic courses that you've completed above and beyond the A through G requirements, even if they're not in math and science and you're a STEM major. Or perhaps you're an English and comparative literature major. We want to see that you're taking a lot of electives, that you have foreign language credit, that you just have a lot of academic courses, and you filled your schedule during your high school career. But also, then on the right-hand side of the screen, as I mentioned, the location of your high school. If you're from San Diego, from our local admissions area, we do have admission benefits for that. We do have admissions consideration if you're first generation, if you're foster youth, if you're active duty military. And there are places on the application for you to list extracurricular activities, work or volunteer activities, and if you've been part of college preparatory programs such as AVID or the CalSOAP various programs, or Upward Bound, Puente program, a lot of different options there you'll see on the Cal State Apply application itself. And I'm just going back to the screen here. You'll see that I did not list essays or letters of recommendation. Now, if you are a first generation student and you're interested and eligible for our Educational Opportunity Program, which is called EOP, which is a secondary application really for first gen low income students. It's an amazing program at all 22 of our campuses that provide you scholarship support, advising support. If you are applying for that, and I do certainly recommend that if you fall into those requirements, then we do look at letters of recommendation and essays. But overall, in the admissions process here at San Diego State and at every Cal State University, it's an academically based admissions decision for us. We're not looking at letters of rec or an essay that you would have to write. You're going to hear from our UC colleagues in just a little bit, and they may look at those factors. But as the California State University system, it is all academically based on what you've taken in high school and then how well you've done in those courses for your GPA. And that is what we're looking at to make determining factors for admission. This is the website that we have for all of our applications. It's really a common application for us in the CSU system, and it is open now. We've been open for 2 weeks. December 1st is the deadline. It's usually November 30th, but that falls on a Sunday this year. So December 1st is our application deadline this year. And once you start this application, simply calstate.edu/apply. And I will be sending this presentation to Carla so that she will have it so she could actually send it out to you as well. So some of these links you don't need to write down, or you can screenshot it if you'd like. But just some helpful tips. Once you go into the application itself, you will receive an ID number. Make sure that you write that down. If you have problems or issues or any bugs whatsoever with the application itself, we have a very robust support network to answer your questions, but we need your CAS ID, they call it, your Cal State Apply ID. So that will allow us to look into your application and solve the problems for you. The very first thing that you're going to do on the application, since it's used for all of our 22 campuses, is you're going to select which campus or campuses, because you can apply to more than one at the same exact time, that you're interested in applying to. So you'll see on the right-hand side here, all 22 will be listed, and then the individual majors at each of those campuses will be listed for you. And you can certainly do a search. Right up top, it says search for a program or organization. You can list right off the bat, San Diego State. It will pull up all of our majors. Or maybe you're not set on one particular campus. Maybe you want to look at and you're open to Bakersfield, Chico, San Diego, San Marcos, Fullerton, but you're interested and you know for a fact that you want to do business, then you can just do a search for business and all of those programs will come up too. Once you create your profile, you can always go back and edit your profile, which usually is just your basic demographic information. But there are some things on there which let us know what level you are. Are you currently a high school student? Are you a community college student? And those all have to, of course, be accurately answered. And then once you get to the bulk of the application itself, it's a quadrant system here where there are 4 distinct sections that you need to fill out simply by clicking on each one of them and answering the questions. Personal information, exactly what it sounds like, asking for all of your demographic information, your household size, parents' information as well, address, all of that. There's a big difference when it comes to residency and the cost of our tuition. So we need to make sure that you are a California resident, or if perhaps you're not, then you're answering those questions accurately. And so we know how much the tuition is going to be for you. For in-state students, our tuition at a Cal State University is roughly about $9,000 a year, not including room and board. So just tuition, about $9,000. Thousands of dollars, I know, but comparatively, when we look at other systems in the entire United States, we're trying to keep our costs as low as we can. Then you'll see another quadrant for academic history, any supporting information that we may need, and then any program materials needed for your particular major. One of the most important portions here is under your academic history, where we literally are asking you to make sure you have a transcript yourself an unofficial transcript, that you're filling this out, filling the application out exactly as it appears on your transcript, because we do need you to enter in, physically type in all of the courses that you've had to meet our A through G areas. So we need to see what the course is. You're indicating what high school or high schools you've been to, and then how you've done in those classes itself. So you'll see that it's pretty intuitive. It really will make sure that you're answering all the questions, and we're very good at giving you error messages when something doesn't look quite right. The most important screen, in my opinion, is the A through G matching screen, which you'll get after you enter in your transcript, essentially. Keep in mind that most of our campuses, we are not asking you to send a transcript in by mail to us. At SDSU, we have so many applicants that if we were to do that on the front end, it would delay the amount of time that it takes to actually make admission decisions. December 1st, as I mentioned, is the deadline to apply. Well, we want to admit students in about 3 months. So we target February 28th, March 1st, around there to make our admission decisions. In order to do that, it's all self-reported. Now, on the back end, we make sure that after you're graduating from high school, once you're accepting the offer, after you're admitted to San Diego State, then we have you send transcripts and we make sure that it matches up exactly to what you entered on your application. But make sure on the front end that you're 100% accurate with your courses. Our campuses will take some corrections depending on what they are and how early you catch a mistake, but we want you to take your time with it. None of our campuses are first come, first served. So it does not matter if you submit it tonight or we don't want you to wait actually until December 1st. Thanksgiving is very, very busy that last weekend where we have so many students applying, but we want you to take your time with it, make sure that you're able to accurately fill this out and completely.
Matt, there's a question about the new law and the admission to CSU, the automatic minimum admission. Do you want to answer that later in the Q&A?
Yeah, I think I do actually have a screen about that, so I will
Okay.
get to that in just a
Okay.
second. But you're absolutely right. There's a brand new law, and it's been in the news about automatic admission to our campuses. So I'll cover that in just a second. I know I'm quickly running out of time here, but I am going to hang out just for Q&A for the entirety of the hour here. But make sure we have so many students now who have at least like one class taken at a college. Maybe you've taken City College or Mesa or Grossmont or Southwestern. But if you have some college experience already as a high school student, there's a place on the application for you to list that. And you'll list it under the colleges attended section here. On the profile, you'll indicate that you have some college work, even though you're a high school student, you've completed some college work, and it will ask you to report that particular college and then any of the classes that you've actually had there. We do still ask you if you have ACT or SAT exams. Again, they're not required nor looked at for admission, but SAT, ACT, AP, IB, CLEP, all these different examples of different testing that you could have. We want to know the entirety of your academic record. So feel free to enter those in as well if you already have that. And then you'll see at the end of the day, when you fill in all of your academics and your demographic information, you'll submit your application. And at the very last screen here, you'll see whether or not you're eligible for a fee waiver. So we do offer fee waivers for students, but it is embedded within the application. So we don't take any fee waivers by paper or through any other process aside from through the application itself. And you can check your fee waiver status, which essentially the application is smart enough to weigh your family size and family income and look at what our eligibility components are going to be to get a fee waiver for it. If not, then it is a $70 application fee for each of the campuses within the system that you're applying to. So keep that in mind. But we will tell you right here on this page when you're ready to submit the application whether or not you are eligible for the fee waiver. And it will come up either eligible or not eligible. And then just really quickly, this is back to one of the first questions that you're asked if you do have college level credit to make sure that you're indicating that on the on the extended profile here. So I know I am short on time, so I just want to fly by. Again, we are going to send this out to you, but a couple notes here for course validation. There are some subjects, and it's foreign languages and then mathematics, where if you had a deficiency in the fall semester, if you had a C or better in the second semester, we will take validation roles as approved for that entire year. Meaning that unlike English, unlike social science or the sciences itself, where you need passing grades in both semesters, if it is a fact that you had, say, a deficiency, a D, in, say, Algebra 1, but then that next semester you passed it, we will, just as a checklist to make sure that you've completed that whole year, we will accept that higher level grade in the second semester. That does not do wonders for your GPA, of course, because the GPA for that D still is calculated. But as far as a checklist to make sure that you don't have to go back and repeat Algebra 1, we will accept that. But note that it's only for mathematics, for foreign languages, and then in the entirety of the sciences, only chemistry could be used for that. For residency information, I know we may have some students who may qualify for AB 540, which means you have not lived in the United States your entire life, and you may be a citizen of another country, but perhaps you've been here, since you were 2 years old, and you've been in the California school system. What we ask you to do and recommend is that for U.S. citizenship, you're answering that you are not a U.S. citizenship, and you're answering all of these truthfully, of course. But then for California, if you have been in California for a extended stay of time, then we recommend that you include yes as your answer here and indicate when your present stay in California began. And that enables our system, our campuses, to send you information for undocumented students about Assembly Bill 540, which essentially means that you wouldn't have to pay extra fees on top of regular tuition fees if you've been in the California educational system for at least 3+ years. Now, direct admission is brand new, just passed as a law that will be taking into effect on January 1st from the governor. It offers at some of our CSU campuses a direct admissions pathway for districts, public high school districts right now that are participating, but also even private districts too, and private high schools that will make a guarantee with our system, our California State University system, to enable us to identify what students in your high schools are eligible to the state university system, and then give you admission to our system and to many of our campuses ahead of time. Now, the big question I'm getting is San Diego State included in this? And unfortunately, the answer is no, not at this time. We have 16 of our campuses within the state of California that are participating. Campuses such as Cal State East Bay, Cal State Bakersfield, a lot of the northern campuses and the campuses in Los Angeles area are participating in this, and it's only going to grow. Right now it's just brand new. Right now in the county of San Diego, we do not have any of the high school districts participating quite yet. But I do expect for next year that this will be a reality where some of our school districts will participate in direct admission. And so you very well may be getting around this time of year, if you're a senior in high school next year, you may be getting something in the mail that indicates that we've already pre-reviewed your academic record and you may be admissible to the majority of our California State University campuses. But again, unfortunately, it's not for San Diego State at this time, nor for Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, or the impacted campuses, those 6 impacted campuses I mentioned before. But we also have, as part of that bill that was just passed, really redefined our transfer success pathway program, which enables students to go to any of the community colleges in the state of California and then guarantee to transfer to any of the California state universities by signing a contract ahead of time. And we have that indeed at San Diego State. We have a lot of students now who have started at San Diego Mesa College, City College, Southwestern, Grossmont, Cuyamaca, Miramar, Imperial Valley College, and they've entered into an agreement with that college and with San Diego State to ensure that within 2 to 3 years you will be transferring to San Diego State. If you have any questions about that, we have our contact information at the very end. Please feel free to send us an email. We have a coordinator who is handling this. And I know I am at time, but really, really quickly to run through. And again, I will be sending this presentation out. But for the very first time, we topped 40,000 students at San Diego State. A lot of high impact practices. We are a huge community. We're really a mini city within San Diego where we support our students in a lot of career opportunities, internships, research, ensuring that you have a job after you graduate from high school, and then a lot of support networks as well for you in identity centers, but also we have a food pantry. We have a care center if you need economic assistance. We do a lot of work with our students to make sure that you are balanced. Excuse me, not just academically focused, but with your social world and your personal and family world as well, that everything comes together in harmony and balance. Our great athletics, we are a Division I school, so we have a lot of students who attend our games. And if you're enjoying and interested in a campus that has that type of atmosphere, we may be for you too. We have over 100 different academic programs to choose from on Cal State Apply. So, a lot of students choose business, choose psychology, choose kinesiology. We have so many great programs that are listed here on this slide deck for you to review. Engineering, health and human services for public health and social work and nursing, journalism, art, criminal justice, computer science, environmental science. Of course, we have a 60-year-old Fowler College of Business program at San Diego State. We've educated a ton of the business leaders here in San Diego. And again, just our important dates. Make sure you get your application in by December 1st. I know I'm at time, so I'm going to leave it there and answer questions in the chat if there are any questions for me. And this is our contact information. Please just send us an email. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm going to hang out for the next 30 minutes and answer any questions that come up. So thank you so much for your time and joining us today. Thank you, Carla, for the opportunity to present.
Thank you
Go ahead.
so much.
Go
And
ahead, Sid.
I answered a couple questions, but I saved some for you in the Q&A that are still open that I
Great.
thought you could specifically answer. And we're going to segue now into UC San Diego, and they're going to talk about the UC application and the UC admissions process. So go ahead, either Karina or Cassie, feel free to take it away.
Okay, perfect. Let me just share my screen real quick. Okay. I think it's loading. Okay, does that look all right? Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Karina. I'm an admissions officer at UC San Diego. And then I'll pass it to Cassie.
Hi, my name is Cassie. I'm also an admissions officer at UC San Diego. Pass it back to Chris.
Yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit about the admissions process and a little bit about the UC application. We're going to talk a little bit about the UC system, how to apply, and do a little overview of our first year admissions process as well as our transfer one. And we'll talk about tuition and financial aid, and then just provide some resources at the end. And then we will also take some questions as well in the chat as well. So let's get started. So a little bit about the UC system. So we have about 9 great campuses, as you can see pictured here on this lovely map. So really, they're based in really different parts of California. So there's a lot to offer. So you can kind of see. So you're probably wondering, like, how exactly should you go about applying to these different campuses? And so more about the UC system, 84% of our students are California residents, and a third of them, about 36%, are first gen. And a lot of our students also come from a community college. The transfer community is really big. And so really what students really look for in the UC campus is they first might want to consider fit. So maybe you want to look into which campuses offer your specific major, if there's something you're particularly interested in, what resources and supports other campuses might offer and are available. And so those might be things you might want to research and look into when maybe deciding where exactly you want to apply. And then lastly, of course, campus environment, maybe looking at the campus, but also like where it's based, located. And so really you can research these different UC campuses and see what they all have to offer, but they all are very great in their academics and their campus culture. And then really what's really convenient about all of this is that applying to the UC is just one application. So one application to apply to any of the 9 campuses, and it's been open since August 1st. And so on your UC application, you can actually select which campuses you'll like to apply for. And there is an $80 fee for each UC campus. It's $95 if you are an international applicant. And there is a fee waiver available for up to 4 campuses for qualified students, which is embedded into the UC application as well. And so you can apply to one of them, all of them. So it's really easy that it's just one app. And so I'm going to pass it on to Cassie to talk a little bit more about our first year admissions process.
Yeah, thanks. So when we're talking about our first year application process, we first want to define who a first year is. So a first year student is anyone who is currently in high school or they have not completed any college since graduating from high school, with the exception of that summer right after high school graduation. So if you're a current high school student or you were in high school and you took dual enrollment courses, you received college credit while you're in high school, you're still going to apply as a first year into the UC system. Do not apply as a transfer. We're looking for that first year application from you. All of those credits that you received, anything UC transferable from the dual enrollment courses that you completed will still transfer over to your UC campus, but we want you to enter as a first year so you still get that same first year experience, those first year resources, and you're coming in with peers that are most likely going to be a similar age range with you as well. So we want to make sure that you're applying as a first year and not a transfer applicant. We'll talk about transfers in a couple slides. When we're looking at our first year requirements for the UC system as a whole, we start off by looking at those A through G courses that you heard our CSU colleagues talk about earlier. So we're looking at A through G. Our minimum is 15 A through G courses, and we have a minimum UC GPA of a 3.0 or better, or 3.4 for non-resident. So these are the minimums, but very often within the UC system, to be most competitive, students are going above and beyond these minimums. So looking at A through G specifically, high school students, I'm sure you already know what they all are. But when we look at these requirements, so history, for example, 2 years, if you can take a 3rd year of history, if you can even take a 4th, or maybe your 3rd year is AP US history, maybe you took US history through your local community college. Students who are going above and beyond in their coursework is what we love to see, not only at UC San Diego, but across the UC system as a whole. We love to see students who are challenging themselves and putting themselves above and beyond within their classroom. They want to take advantage of the resources available to them. So if you do have resources available to you within your community academically, we love to see students who are taking advantage of that. With our A through G requirements, though, we're looking for students who have completed at least 11 of the A through G required courses by the end of their junior year. When we're looking at GPA, again, so 3.0 for California residents, that's that UC GPA. So the UC GPA takes all of your grades from 10th and 11th grade. So we do look at 9th grade grades and courses, and seniors, we do look at what you're planning to take in your 12th grade. But when we're looking at your GPA, it's 10th and 11th. So seniors, hopefully you did well the past couple of years, because it's too late now. But looking at that UC GPA, we do take into account any rigorous courses. So again, AP, IB, college level courses, or UC approved honors courses can all add extra weight to the UC GPA. So that's, we're going to use a weighted GPA when looking at your application, when evaluating your application, rather than an unweighted. If you're coming from a school that uses a different grading system, or a school that does not use weighted GPAs, that's completely fine. We will recalculate that GPA for you in the UC application. So all we ask of you is to report your courses and your grades exactly as they show up as your transcript. We will do all the hard work of converting that and making that a weighted grade for you. So again, just going over those academic requirements, On the first year side, the A through G coursework, the UC GPA, this is across all UC campuses. So as Karina mentioned, it's one application for all of the UC campuses. You don't have to repeat things multiple times. You're just filling out one application. And again, make sure that you are giving us the accurate information from your transcripts, from what you're getting from your high school, what you're getting from your community college if you are taking dual enrollment courses. And then we move on to that selection process where we have a comprehensive review of 13 factors, but it's a little bit different in the selection process depending on which UC campus you're applying to.
Perfect. So we're going to talk a little bit about comprehensive review. So what exactly are we looking for when deciding which students are going to be admitted, right? So there's a variety of different factors. So first is academic achievement, which Cassie mentioned, which is GPA, the rigor of your curriculum, maybe classes that you took advantage of, and just like academic achievement, academic trajectory, as well as achievements, like was there a growth in grades, and did you take advantage of more rigorous coursework? So those are all things we'll kind of keep in mind when we're looking at your the types of classes that you've reported and what you've taken. Other things that we will also look for is honors programs, any special projects that maybe you were partaked in. And then we'll also look at your personal school and family context. So lots of different ways where this will show in the different parts of the UC application, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Any special talents, skills, and awards, leadership, and really how students exemplify this. You might think more typical of like extracurriculars or activities. And then of course, any life experiences or special circumstances. And so you're probably wondering, how do students really like talk about this or maybe like show this in their UC application? And so this is where your activities and your awards section comes in. So your activities and awards can include awards or honors, any educational prep programs, extracurriculars, or coursework other than A through G. Maybe there was like a class that you took, maybe partaking in like a special program. Volunteer and community service is really popular, as well as work experience. You could put about 10 activities and awards on your UC application. You shouldn't feel super compelled to fill up the whole thing. We also say quality over quantity is just as valuable, and maybe being involved in very few things, but slowly getting deeply involved into them like over the course of a few years. Activities and awards can really vary from student to student. There's no such thing as like a perfect extracurricular. You can be captain of your sports team, but you could also be an older sibling, right? And so really think about how you spend time outside the classroom, because that really looks different based on the context of each student and applicant, right? And so this is where also your personal insight questions come in. So your personal insight questions, you're going to be expected to answer 4 out of the 8 questions. All questions hold equal value. So my advice is always to ensure to pick questions you feel that you can best answer. So you have about 350 words for each question. And so there are 4 different responses. And how you should go about these PIQs is to focus on the content and not necessarily the style of your writing. You're supposed to kind of answer them, like we like to say, in an interview style. You want to be really direct. Just because 350 words is not a lot of room when you think about it. And so you want to be really direct. And maybe things to consider writing about is you could talk about life experiences. You could talk about values and goals. And those are really great things to really talk about in your PIQs. And so your personal insight questions will be used for admission, but they could also be used for scholarship considerations as well. So it's really important that you spend a lot of time on those. And I really say, like, pick things that you feel will give us a better understanding and context of you as not just a student, but as a person and as an applicant. It's really your place to shine in the UC application. And so just some other things that we'd like to highlight. So we do have some guarantees for our California residents. So we have a statewide guarantee where we recognize the top 9% of California high school grads, and that's determined by the total number of A through G courses you completed in high school and your calculated UC GPA. In addition, we also have the local guarantee, or you might have heard the ELC, which recognizes the top 9% of high school grads from participating high schools. And ELC eligible students are those who have earned a calculated GPA that exceeds their school's benchmark GPA. So what does this mean? So this means that both of these programs do provide guaranteed admission into the UC system. And your eligibility is determined when you submit your UC application. And we do like to clarify that this doesn't mean guaranteed admission into a UC of your choosing. It's usually based on like a UC campus that has space for students. And so really it can be a UC that you might have not also applied for, but you are guaranteed admission if you are eligible for if you are a part of one of these guarantees. So just something to keep in mind. And so a little bit more about like our timeline. So our application has been open since August 1st. However, you weren't actually able to submit or file until October 1st, about 2 weeks ago. So the filing period is from October 1st to December 1st. And so you can submit anytime between these 2 months. There's no benefit of like submitting earlier or later. You'll be considered all the same. So just make sure when you do submit your application that you feel like it's final and it's ready, because it's really difficult and impossible to make changes to it after. So that's just something to keep in mind. And so any other action items you should be doing in the meantime is going to be financial aid. Financial aid just opened October 1st. So you're either going to be doing the FAFSA if you are a California resident or a domestic resident, or the California Dream Act for a priority filing period, right? So you have until March 2nd to complete that priority period. I recommend just getting on it. Financial aid can have a lot of hiccups, so it's really nice to just get ahead of it and to troubleshoot that when you can. And on top of that, then you'll get to first year admission decisions. So you're going to typically hear from the UCs around the end of March, and then you'll have until May 1st to submit your SSR, which is your statement intent to register, which is just a fancy way of saying that you're committing to attending our school or attending a school in the fall. You might have heard your classmates or your peers say commitment day. So May 1st is when you'll be expected to make a decision, and then eventually you'll receive some action items, specifically in July, to send all your official transcripts from all the high schools, any colleges or universities you attended, as well as AP and IB exam results as well. So this is a little bit of our arc of really like from submitting your application to being admitted and to officially matriculating into a UC school. And so we're going to pass it on to Cassie for transfer admission.
Yeah, so with transfer admission, we love our transfers in the UC system. 91% of our transfers do come from a California community college. It's often the easiest way to come into the UCs, not only because your classes are more likely to transfer over, but just because you're saving some money. It's a great pathway, and often you get to stay close to home before you transfer over to the UC system. So we love our California community college students. If you are applying as a transfer, so our transfer applicants are students who have done some college since graduating from high school. So if you've taken any college in a regular term, fall, winter, or spring, after graduating from high school, you would be considered a transfer applicant. The vast majority of our UC campuses will only admit transfer students at the junior level. So very often this is about 2 to 3 years of time in college before at a different college before coming over and transferring into the UC system. This depends on how many dual enrollment credits you had in high school, how many AP exams or IB exam score credit that you might have. But our transfer students are typically at junior standing. Some of our UC campuses might admit students at sophomore standing or even low senior standing, but the majority of us, including UC San Diego, will admit at junior standing. So when we were looking at our transfer requirements, we're looking first and foremost at the 7-course pattern, which is your 2 courses of English composition, 1 course of math, and then 4 courses from any other subjects like arts and humanities, social sciences, or natural sciences, adding up to 7 courses total. So we're looking for that 7-course pattern on your application. This is UC-wide. If we do not see that you have fulfilled the 7-course pattern, maybe you have not taken a math course yet, then we will not admit you into the UC system. You have to have that 7-course pattern done. We're also looking for a minimum number of units. So as I mentioned before, with that junior standing, the majority of students who are coming in need to have at least 60 semester units or 90 quarter units. And these must be UC transferable. So sometimes if you're looking at the courses that you've taken at community college, that you've taken at a different 2 or 4 year institution, they might not be UC transferable. So keep that in mind. They have to be UC transferable units when we're looking at that minimum. And then finally, that GPA, 2.4 for California residents, 2.8 for non-residents. But just like with our first years, our most competitive applicants are going above and beyond. So they might have more units. They'll most likely have a higher GPA. It really does vary depending on the UC campus and what they're looking for in terms of selection, but these are typically just our minimums. Moving on to selection. So we're looking at major preparation. The vast majority of our UC campuses have certain majors that might have some major preparation coursework required. So for example, at UC San Diego, within our biology department, we require certain courses that you take beforehand, a couple of math courses, our general bio series, and a general chem series. So things like that across different UCs will require you to take courses before you transfer over. And it's very, very important that you complete those courses because again, that can also prevent you from transferring into the UC system. So make sure you're looking at every single UC's admissions page, their transfer page, make sure that you have hit the requirements for that specific campus, for that specific major that you might be interested in. Again, with selection, we're looking at GPA, making sure that the higher your GPA, generally the more competitive you're going to be for that campus. Especially at the transfer level, we trust that whatever you're filling out in your applications, those PIQs, the extracurriculars, we trust that you're well-rounded people. We trust that after taking 2 college-level composition courses, you're a pretty decent writer. So we are looking to see how you're doing academically, to see if you're prepared for the program and the major that you're about to go into, and you know what you're about to get into as well. And then lastly, with iGETSI or CalGETSI, if you are a transfer student, you might have heard these terms thrown around before. CalGETSI is just starting this year. So if this is your very first year of being in the California Community College system, CalGETSI might be what you're going for. If you're planning to apply for this year, you might have an iGETSI. These certificates are not required for admission. They're really helpful and they might be recommended at certain UC campuses. I know at UC San Diego, it is recommended, but not required. So if you don't have it, it's completely okay. If you plan to have it, but end up not having it later on, again, completely okay. And then moving on to our tuition and financial aid across the UCs.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about financial aid and so some things to keep in mind. System-wide, we do have tuition and fees for our undergraduates, and how you can really find this is going to UC campus and finding their cost of attendance. And each incoming class will have a set tuition. This is called our tuition stability plan, which means that the tuition that you come in paying in your first year of attendance is going to remain the same for all your duration of your time attending a UC campus, which is great. And so that's for incoming undergrads for up to 6 years. And so this is kind of the cost of attendance on average. And so I know this number can look really scary. So it was estimated that the average cost for a new student from 2026 to 2027 was $46,000. However, a majority of our students do not pay the full cost of this attendance. And so you'll really see that the truly fixed cost here, out of everything in this little circle, is going to be your tuition. Everything else here, like housing and meals, for example, is going to be based on like the type of housing you opt into and maybe your meal plan. You also, same with like personal and transportation, 3,400 is very, flexible based on your lifestyle. And then you also have your campus fees as well as, again, books and supplies that really ranges based on where you're getting your books. And then health insurance as well. Maybe you might be under your family's health insurance plan, so that can really vary, right? And so if you really want to estimate maybe the cost of your attendance, there is a new UC financial aid calculator. So if you want to scan that QR code, you're totally free to do that, to kind of like play around with that tool that we just have. But yes, cost of attendance does just vary from student to student. And so more specifically, about $3 billion is awarded in grants and scholarships to our California students. So we always say, like, that's why it's really important to submit like a financial aid application by that priority deadline to really maximize that aid. And then you'll kind of see some really fast statistics here about like our California undergrads, where we receive about like 67% of our undergrads do receive some sort of grants and scholarships with an average award of $22,000. And then 54% of our undergrads pay no tuition because of grant scholarship aid. So the money is there. And so it's really important that you do submit your financial aid application on time. And yeah, we'll pass it to Cassie.
Yeah, I'll wrap it up for us so that we have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. The vast majority of our students are graduating without debt. Either they came in and received tuition and scholarships and funds where they didn't have to worry too much about financial aid while in college, or they had most of that covered when they came into the UC system and had jobs while they were students and were able to pay that off while they were students. So the majority of our students, almost 2/3, are graduating with no student loan debt. But we have a lot of different opportunities for our systems or for our students. So system-wide, we have the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. Most California students who are coming from families that earn $100K or less per year will pay $0 in UC tuition, so they're not paying anything for tuition. Keep in mind, though, you're still going to have to pay for food and housing, room and board if you do plan to live somewhere while in college. But that tuition does take a big chunk off of your cost of attendance. So that's really nice to have in mind to stress a little bit less. And again, many of our students do graduate debt-free. Each UC campus will have their own scholarship opportunities. They'll have their own things that students can apply for. A lot of campuses like UC San Diego don't have an additional scholarship application when students are coming in. So if they do qualify for anything, we will let them know when they're admitted. And then a lot of opportunities are available for students once they're currently enrolled students as well. So whether that be stipends, jobs, different scholarships specific to their identity, specific to their major or department or college in general. There are lots of opportunities for our students. They just have to look and keep an eye out to be the one to put themselves out there and look for that. And of course, the financial aid departments at each of the UC campuses are going to be super duper helpful. One last thing we have UC-wide is that UC Native American Opportunity Plan. It offers in-state tuition covered for tuition and student fees for any California students who are enrolled in federally recognized Native American, American Indian, and Alaska Native tribes. Just moving on to some resources. It's just going to be a lot of slides with different links. So feel free to take a photo. I'll strike a pose or just take a screenshot. Look at the QR code. It's just a lot of our different resources across first years, across our transfers. This is UC-wide again, but my favorite thing to do is just Google it. So you can find these links really easily if you Google as well. If you're looking at our transfer information, if you're looking at each of our UC campuses. So if you want to find more about UC campuses, maybe you're listening to me talk about UC San Diego and you are just not interested in UC San Diego, I'll try not to take offense, but we do have 8 other UC campuses, so check out their websites. They're going to have their campus-specific information on each of their websites, their information about getting in contact with them, how to apply, all those requirements. For transfers, we also have a lot of really great resources, so assist.org is going to be your best friend if you have any California Community College coursework and you're interested in the UC system. We also have the UC Transfer Admission Planner, so I highly recommend making a TAP account if you haven't already. It helps us get in touch with you. It helps us review your application with you and let you know if there's anything you're missing. And then the Transfer Admission Guarantee. So we didn't talk about it much, but if you are interested in any of our UC campuses, 6 out of the 9 UC undergraduate campuses is part of the Transfer Admission Guarantee Program, or TAG, that guarantees admission into your campus, as the title suggests. So look into that, check out their website. UC San Diego is not part of that system, but 6 of our campuses are. We have more links to more websites. I'm not quite sure why there are so many links to all of our websites, but check out our campuses. They will all be really helpful and more than happy to talk to you about how to get in touch with our financial aid officers, our admissions officers, transfer officers, whatever it may be. But that is our presentation for UC San Diego as we scroll through the last of the links. Thank you all so much, and we'll answer any questions that you have in the chat.
All right, I don't see anything in the Q&A right now, but I'm going to give it a couple minutes just in case anything else comes up. Anybody have any questions? Q&A, now's the time. All right, it doesn't look like there are any, so we'll go ahead and end the webinar now. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Matt and Karina and Cassie for your assistance and your information. And thank you to everybody for attending. And like I said, we will have this recording up by the end of the week on our CalSoap website. And you are welcome to follow up with me to get any information. You already have my email address if you're participating. So thank you, everybody, and good night.